Thanks for coming out on a blustery winter day, but what a great thing, and thank you for being here. How many of you have seen a channel before, either online or in person? Ever? Okay. So the reason why I say that is everyone does it a little bit differently. You are super lucky. You are the second people ever to see me do this live. Of course, the bad news is you're the second people ever to see me do this live. So I'm still polishing my gift, but what's been coming through is amazing. So one of the things I wanted to share with you is, you all got my business card when you came in. On the back here is a download code for a free version of my first 80 days of channeling. I've been doing this for probably 3 months now. I was doing it every single day for the first 60 before my first event, and then I kind of jumped to every other day because things I gotta get done, right? But the stuff that's coming through is incredibly profound. In fact, yesterday's was about reclaiming our stories. There was one a couple days ago this week about reclaiming the holidays. Just really taking a look at how we live our lives and making it more applicable and more bountiful for us. Don't really know exactly what's going to come through today. I've got some ideas. There's a lot of topics that the guys are going to be covering. But I thought we'd start out today by how did we get here? I've read some of you before, but not everyone in this room. So why, Paul David, are you standing in front of us on a blustery Saturday afternoon in November, bringing through higher consciousness? I'm glad you asked. Otherwise this would be awkward for everyone. I'm going to take it back in the Wayback Machine. So we're going to go back to the fall of 1984. I was a freshman at Coe College in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I was sitting on the far side of the room in the Nature of Science course that was required for all freshmen when he walked in the room. Now, I know this is going to sound like I'm making this up, but I swear it happened just like a movie. I feel like the lights dimmed, a spotlight shone on him, and a group of choir of angels or background singers went, ah! And it was the first time I remember a voice not my own go rushing through my head. I know you. I wouldn't meet him for a few more months. A few months later, these friends of mine were telling me about this friend of theirs, David, who was not resonating with his roommate. And I wasn't resonating with mine, so after a brief negotiation, David moved in and we became roommates. And soon after that, best friends. And soon after that, boyfriends. But this was the 1980s and neither one of us could be gay. And so began the emotional roller coaster ride of the incredible highs and devastating lows of young loves. We both tried to figure out who and how we loved. After graduation, I moved back to the Twin Cities, and David moved to New York City to fulfill his dreams of becoming a daytime TV star. Soon after that, David moved back to the Twin Cities. His dreams of stardom crushed like sand into the hourglass. So are the days of our lives. And I'll always remember that fall day in spring day, in 1991, we were walking around Badi-Makaska, having a conversation. It was one of those things. He was engaged to a woman. I was in a super destructive relationship. And we talked about running away together to the West Coast, starting over and starting fresh. One of those soul deep conversations. In the middle of all of this, the second time a voice that I would not consider my own went rushing through my head. So, those of you from the Twin Cities remember Musicland in Yorktown, a couple blocks south of Southdale. I had started the first day as the assistant manager. It was a classical music store. I remember walking in and meeting this gentleman, Scott. And it was the first time meeting the staff, and I was walking back to the room, and a voice went screaming through my head that says, I will not date this man, which I thought was incredibly odd because I was in that self-destructive relationship, and I'm not my type, and whatever. Blew it off. Well, time went on. I left Musicland and went to work for Dayton's. The fall of 1991 found me at Dayton's Southdale Marketplace Foods, honing my skills as a food service manager. It was Black Friday, actually, like yesterday, 34 years ago. Older than some of you in this room. And we were getting the food ready to feed those hungry guests, finding that perfect gift at the perfect price, and the phone rang, and it was for me. And it was my mom. It turns out David had been killed in a car accident Thanksgiving night, 34 years ago, driving home from visiting his family in Iowa. My head exploded. The funeral was a blur. Was it snowing? I don't remember. I remember, however, being back after the funeral in the kitchen at Dayton Southdale making egg salad. Gospel true story. Standing there thinking, I am here making egg salad, you are off exploring the universe, something is wrong with this picture. And so began my quest to understand this thing called life, this thing called death. In fact, had David not died, I would not be standing before you today. I read it all. Started with the Bible, the Tao Te Ching, the Quran, the Tibetan Book of the Dead, the Bhagavad Gita, all the things, trying to figure out what is this thing called God, what is life, what is death, and why would someone I love so much be taken at such a young age? My journey led me to near-death experience books. Benny J. Eady, Embraced by the Light was one of the first ones. If you've read that book, highly recommend it. We Don't Die by Dr. Raymond Moody. Ultimately led me to a woman by the name of Echo Bodine. And we're sitting in her center today. I took a hands-on healing class in psychic development, trying to figure out, there's got to be something more. Now, all this time I've been in church work. I'm a church musician. I'm 40 years, I'm an ordained minister, still looking for that answer, but I knew that with the psychic gifts, there had to be something else there. Along the way, I came in contact with a man by the name of Thomas John. If you've ever seen him, he's been here at the center a few times, an incredible medium, and we had our first phone reading, and he was able to put me in touch with David. Holy crap. At this time, it was probably 28 years after he died. Now, well before the internet, so what Thomas brought through was things that no one could possibly know. And I felt a weight lift off my shoulders that I didn't even know I carried this 28, 29, 30 years later. And I decided, that's what I want to do. I want to be a Jedi too. So I continued to grow, I continued to understand, I continued to study. A couple of years ago, I hired a man by the name of Greg Friedman, who is a mentor. He's a shaman out of California, actually a DJ for a radio station, and to host a show called Inner Journey with Greg Friedman. I highly recommend it. It talks about all things woo-woo. And he was looking for people to take on his clients. And I said, I think the time is right. And so I called him up, and after a brief interview, he became my mentor. And we faced all the things that I didn't want to face as I walked along my path to be a Jedi. And when it came time to take my gifts to the world, I said, I need a modality. I need something to do. And so he said, well, how about tarot cards? I said, okay, I guess so, because I'm a musician as well. And when I write music, I hear the music in my head, and I use a piano to pull those ideas out of the sky and manifest them as something real. And I can get my head around tarot cards being kind of like that. And so began my journey. And so many of you here have sat with me as I've done tarot readings, and that gift speaks for itself. Well, time goes on, and he said, guess what? I was just kidding. I got you to be a tarot reader because that was my tool to fool you into being a channel. You're a channel. And I said, well, you know, you're not the first person to tell me that, because that very first reading with Thomas John, he said, I think you're a channel. You channel high energy. I didn't know what to do with that at the time, and I certainly didn't know what to do with that this time, and I said, well, crap, I guess I'm a channel. Now, what's interesting about channeling is it's a lot like writing music. So when I write music, I hear an idea in my head, and I use the piano to play it. Channeling, I'm listening to someone else speak in my head, and I'm bringing it forth in words for y'all to hear. So that's a little bit different, but that's a lot what channeling is. And actually, every single one of you in this room has that gift. You may not have know it or have practiced it, but when you get that idea that goes through your head, like, don't forget your car keys, shit, okay, got it, thank you, right? Or maybe you want to go the long way home today. Those little things are your angels, guides, your ancestors, right? Your intuition is what Erica would call it, but it's the same thing that's used through channeling. And so what I do is, today what we're going to do is we're going to listen, we're going to see what they have to say, and then what I'll do is bring through a session. We're going to do a little centering prayer and get us in the mood and in the zone, and then I'll channel for, I don't know, 45 minutes, maybe an hour. We'll see how it goes. Maybe longer, maybe shorter. I have no idea what they're going to say. And then what I'll do is, in the state of channeling, I'll open up to questions. So you don't have to have a question, but if you want to know, and you've got higher consciousness here, this would be a great chance to ask something. Unclear if it's something specific for you, be specific in your question, because they'll be as vague as they need to be. Because one of the things that I've learned throughout this whole process is, and they're very clear about this, is we have free will. So the universe won't tell us what to do. It will give us guidelines and suggestions, but it will move along. And I wanted to jump back a step in my story. I'd forgotten this. So that Scott that I had I won't date this man, we ended up being together 15 years. He was a channel, but he took the gift and used it to manipulate me into being in a relationship that I should not have been into, which is why my guides were like, I will not date this man. And I'm like, I know better than you. So that was a 15-year very destructive thing. So it took me a while to embrace this gift, because I'm very, very clear, even in my tarot readings, I'm here not to do harm. That's really important, so that is an important part of the story. All right, you ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Are
So
you recording it, or?
I am recording it, and I would encourage you, thank you for reminding me, because I do want to get it on my phone, because what I'll do is I'll send out a transcript afterwards, and even on the, thank you for reminding me, because I totally was going to do that, I totally forgot, I got in the zone. Even in the book, The 80 Days of Channeling, you'll find the transcript from the first one. The first channeling is online on my YouTube station, so be sure you follow my socials. Also, if you follow my Substack, I do dramatic reading. So when people channel, it isn't like we're talking today. There's some animation and some, like an Esther Hicks. If you've seen Esther Hicks, she's been doing this for 40 years, and she's smooth, and there's a nuance and inflection, right? I am 80 days in, so it's a little more subtle. Generally, it's more whispery, not really whispery, but it's not quite as dramatic. So on Substack, what I do is I take the information and I read it dramatically, so it's powerful to watch. So that's also there. So yes, I am recording it. I'm recording back here. We'll put the video on YouTube, and I will send out a transcript at some point this week, as well of what happens today. So, all right. So first things first, I'd like you to breathe in with me, and breathe out. Breathe in, and breathe out. Creator Source, I ask your permission to be a conduit of healing and a clear channel. Help remove any blocks, any judgments, any expectations on the outcome, as I bring forth what is needed in these holy moments for the highest good. One of the things I like to do when I'm channeling at home is I have these really cool bowls, and frequency is a huge part of our entire universe. And these bowls are very, very cool. They're bell metal. They ring for flippin' ever. But I find it's a great way to get me in the zone. I will also be holding a labradorite piece, which is a crystal that helps channel higher energy. And it's just something that I'm very used to doing, so that will be part of this as well. But these are gorgeous bowls, and they're almost in a slightly out of tune, so it gives you that binaural beat vibration. But they're pretty cool, so I hope you enjoy them as much as I do. And they're really pretty, aren't they? It will take me just a minute to get into the zone. Greetings on this most joyous winter day. We are glad to be here with you and share greetings from all of your angels, guides, and ancestors who are with us here. Congratulations to you for being here and choosing to expand who you are. You are a piece of source energy, you know, the power that creates worlds. Through that power, you can change the manifestations around you should they not meet your expectations. Through that power, you can spread love and unity. And through that power, some choose to do the opposite, which tends to get all of the coverage in your news. But we're here to tell you it doesn't need to be that way. In fact, the time is now for it to change, should you choose to let it change. Free will is a gift that is bestowed upon everyone walking into this incarnation. We are available to everyone through thoughts, through feelings, through a pull in a direction, in one direction versus another. That's how we work. We are not spiritual GPS. We don't tell you where to go. We inspire you in a direction. Each one of you has that voice within you that Paul David spoke of in his introduction. Listen to it, follow it if you choose. But remember that that voice is not the loud screaming voice you hear every day. That is your personality. The personality is a different construct. The personality is here to help you navigate in this 3D world. But it is only an aspect of who you are. Think of it like a piece of clothing, like a shirt or a coat. It represents you to the world while you're wearing it, but it is not actually a part of you. It's something you've chosen. It's something you put on. But the eternal you, your soul, the piece that is source energy, the piece that is eternal, is not the same as personality. Now, the personality is loud, it's present, it feels, it hears, it smells, it tastes, it touches. It's the thing that makes this simulation come to life. When the souls got together to create this world, this universe, this vibration, they came to play with energy, to move attention and manifest new things, to take thought and experience where it hasn't been before. But to play, you had to forget that you were a piece of all of it, that this was all your creation. So the personality was created to come into this world and forget that it's a part of source energy. And then through moving its energy through choices, oftentimes fraught with peril, for that's the excitement, it would manifest a world and a reality in which to live. Now, some of you, when we said the excitement of the perils, paused for a moment. Think of it like a roller coaster. That anticipation as the car climbs to the top and leans over, and the exhilaration of knowing the fall is coming, and the rush where your stomach is suddenly in your ears, and you get to the bottom and, oh my gosh, that was fun, let's do it again. That's life from your eternal perspective. From the personality, however, you don't know when the next rise and fall are coming in the roller coaster of life. But that's what makes it exciting. If you can step back from your story and remember that you are eternal, that you are not the clothing you're wearing, but personality, it allows you to have a little bit more fun with this grand adventure called life. But that can't be easy to do sometimes. The stories are loud. This incarnation hurts sometimes, especially for those of you who are getting older. Things creak where they didn't creak before. Be conscious of where you're putting your energy. Step back from those stories, even those stories, and realize you're eternal. Sometime our clothes get holes in, so we mend them. That would be your responsibility to take care of your personality, take care of the body. There are things in your world to help with that. More in the natural world than you've really tapped into. But pharmaceuticals exist as well to help you navigate those aches and pains of aging. But in this process, we encourage you to step back from the story and see it from the divine perspective. Energy goes where attention flows. That's a mantra you should learn today. We say it a lot. and we mean it. What you focus on is what manifests. In the loud 3D world, the experiences not preferred are just that, loud and painful and noisy, and they easily draw your attention. When you find yourself in an experience not preferred, we're going to encourage you to change your focus. Focus on something else. Find your greatest joy. Put your energy towards that. And we know that when my house is burning down, or I've lost my job, or everyone I know is ill, how can that not be real? And we tell you it certainly is real, but what we're saying to you is those experiences are there to guide you to finding things that are more preferable for you. When you see something that has changed your world, it's a wake-up call for you to focus in a different direction. So take your energy and focus on the things that bring you joy. When you focus on those things that bring you joy, more of that vibration will come to you. Let's unpack that for a second. You are a vibrational being, just like the bowls that were struck at the beginning gave off a vibration. You are a vibration, down to your very atoms, where the molecules are swirling around, giving off waves of vibration. As you vibrate energetically, those items that are like that are drawn to you. Think of it like a car driving down the street with the bass booming and the vase on the shelf vibrating with it. It's called entrainment. That happens to you as well, emotionally and energetically, with how you are being. If the vase is vibrating and you don't want it to vibrate, you pick it up. You change its orientation. It no longer vibrates. The shelf still vibrates, but the vase itself does not. That's the same thing that happens with you. If you are focused in an area that you don't prefer, pick up the vase, pick up your energy, change it into a different direction, and suddenly it will not be doing the same thing it was. The trick in this is catching yourself when you're in those non-preferred experiences and redirecting your attention. That can be a bit of a challenge because, again, the non-preferred experiences are loud and bright and shiny. And the preferred experiences, which haven't manifested yet, are quiet. And there's that moment of doubt. But we're going to challenge you today to know, like you know your name, that when you change your energy and focus on something preferred, that energy will begin to be drawn to you. This time of year in your calendar is full of joy and happiness and love and possibility, but also is fraught with loss and lack and fear. We're going to ask you today, which do you prefer? If you prefer the lack, the loss, the heartbreak, most surely focus on that and it will manifest. If, however, you prefer the joy, the love, the possibility, we're going to encourage you to focus on that instead. But some of you say, the lack, the fear, what's going on in the world right now is real. I know that it's real. And we would say, keep focusing on it, and it will most certainly be real and continue to be real. If you change your focus to the things preferred that may not have manifested for you at the moment, it will slowly begin to change your energy. And when you change your energy, you change the outcome. But isn't that a lie? Isn't that false? For what I see before me is real. And we would tell you, energetically, everything is real and every possibility exists at every moment in time. But But the secret to that energy, the secret to manifesting what you want, is to pay attention to where you focus. Where your attention goes, the energy around you flows. If you focus on not preferred, that manifests for you. If you focus on preferred, that will manifest for you. Now, it isn't an instantaneous piece of magic like snapping your fingers, because the tapes and patterns that are in your head play over and over. Your job as a piece of source energy, as a creator of your experience, is to make the choice to change your focus. Patterns and habits are part of the personality, and they pull you so quickly back when you're not focused on the change. We would remind you that your job is to be a conscious creator, if you choose, versus an unconscious creator, which happens by default. Unconscious creation is the playing and repeating of patterns and tapes over and over that have been programmed by the personality in this incarnation. To be a conscious creator is to understand those for what they are, let the patterns and tapes go with grace and love, and choose to focus in another direction. Think of it as reclaiming the things that serve you by changing what doesn't serve you and taking it out of your area of focus. Some faith traditions have talked about rebirth, being reborn, born again, those kind of words. They would be applicable in this only so much as that you aren't giving up what you used to be, you're just reframing it to the way you want to be. For all the pieces of you have served you, they've gotten you where you are. There's no point in, well, you can't let them go because they already were. What you can do is you can move to heal them by letting them go with love and light and changing your focus. There was a lot on your internet recently about the holiday you just passed through, the Thanksgiving, from the Americana perspective and also from the Native American perspective. Not everything you were taught in grade school is true. I know that may come as a shock to you. And there certainly were tragedies bestowed upon multiple people in multiple races throughout the human history. Part of reframing it and refocusing it is to understand what transpired beforehand, and then simply not doing that again. The best honor you can pay to peoples who have been wronged in the past is to change behaviors in the future moving forward. Now, let's unpack that for a second. That's a pretty loaded statement, we understand. Everyone is a part of source energy. Everyone is eternal. Every soul and being that has walked your planet still exists. They have never not existed, just as you have never not existed. They will never not exist, just as you will never not exist. Each soul comes into this incarnation with certain experiences that it wants to get done in a lifetime. Most of you refer to that as a life plan. That's a fair statement. But again, as we said earlier, walking into this incarnation, there's the veil of forgetting. You put on the personality, and the personality has free will. So as you walk through your soul plan, things can change. Each experience and each soul is guided by their angels, guides, and ancestors through the same gifts that you have, through their intuition, through their thoughts, through their feelings, through that pull that guides them along the path. And through their free will, they make choices. experiences. When experiences are not preferred, many of those are part of the soul plan for the soul to grow and evolve. Sometimes someone who is homeless in a previous incarnation was a wealthy king and chose not to show charity to those in their care. So this life, they're balancing that energy. You wouldn't know this from a human perspective because it doesn't come with a playbook. But from our divine perspective, trust everyone is in the care of the Most High. Everyone is walking a path they need to walk. So when experiences have happened that have been not preferred, that was for a reason. As we have said, you can continue to focus on those experiences and call it bringing attention to them. And you will certainly bring attention to them. But by attention, we mean your energy. And what happens when you focus on something? Energy goes there and manifests more of that. You can honor them for sure. But the best honor for everyone that walked before is to choose to live a different path, manifest a different outcome by changing your energy. Honor what came before, but move forward focused in a new direction. That will need to sit for a while. That's a harder one to chew. We understand. There's always something not preferred around every single corner if you choose to find it. What we're saying to you is, notice it, acknowledge it, send love, and then take your attention and focus in a different direction. When you focus in a different direction, the energy around the unpreferred experiences dies. Because energy goes where your attention flows. That's the role of a conscious creator. Entering your holiday season, choose to reclaim this time of year. Choose to spread the joy of the season. Choose to find unity with those around you. Choose to assist and help those who are in need. For it is a wonderful thing to give. But just because you're in a giving mode, don't forget, it is a wonderful thing to receive. For when you open yourself up to receiving, you open yourself up to the opportunity for others to bless you. They can change their energy by you opening up to receiving their energy. For some of you here today, that's harder than the first part. It's easy to give. It's easy to continue to give, but giving so much and choosing not to receive is not a balance. And everything in this world, in this incarnation, is about striking a balance, even between the personality and the ego. So as you go forth, what we're going to suggest to you today is to find the joy. There will be experiences you do not prefer, most certainly. That's called life. When you find yourself in an experience you don't prefer, as a conscious creator, we want you to catch yourself and realize, hey, this is an experience I don't prefer. What we're going to ask you then, as the conscious creator, is to change your focus and find something you do prefer, and focus on that. Just like going to a gym, you don't lift one weight and become buff. It takes repetition. It takes practice. It takes increasing the difficulty to grow and become stronger. The same is true of your spiritual journey. While everyone possesses these gifts, so many have let them go dormant. Dormant is not dead. Dormant is just dormant. To wake them up, Be conscious of this and begin finding the joy. Begin continuing to find those moments preferred when faced with moments not preferred. Understand everyone and everything is in care of the Most High. Your angels, guides, and ancestors are always watching over you. Again, we hear, yes, but there are things not preferred that have happened. There's loss, there's death, there's all these terrible things. And we would again remind you, you do not know what these souls came into this incarnation to do. To do so is arrogant and incorrect. Trust that everyone is in the care of the Most High. Send them love by all means, but change your focus lest you draw that energy to yourself. Change your focus lest you draw that energy to yourself. The closest vibration to love is joy. Find that little moment that warms your heart. Feel it. For the head and the heart both need to be in balance for all of this to work. The head is the seat of your personality, the clothing you wear. The heart is the seat of the soul, who you truly are. Both are required to navigate this thing called life. When you find those moments that give you joy, feel that joy in your heart. Don't just think it, feel it. Let that feeling wash through you. That is how you change your vibration, for your heart is a gateway to the ether. Let that energy radiate through you. Find those moments that bring you it, be it giving a gift, be it listening to a carol or a song, be it helping another person, be it cooking, be it shopping, be it decorating, whatever that might be for you. Find that moment and let it bloom through your heart. That will change your energy. That will change your vibration. There's so many things to share with you, but let's take it one step at a time. Today, remember your personality is just a piece of clothing. Your soul is who you are eternally. To help you get your head around that, think about yourself, and to pull yourself back from your story, picture yourself over your left shoulder, looking down and seeing you where you're sitting now. We would ask you, who's doing the looking? That is the real you. What is sitting in the seat, the vehicle that you're here driving through this life, is an aspect of you most certainly, but not you. When you can begin to understand that separation, but also remembering both are needed for this incarnation, your goal then is to strike that balance. That will begin to make life easier for you. The second thing we leave you with today is be conscious of where you're focusing your energy. This is going to be a little bit harder because there's a lot in your media and your news and what's going on in your world right now that is loud, that is brash, that is hard to watch. We understand that. Again, what those souls are experiencing is not your business. Focus on it, most certainly it will manifest. Focus some other direction, and that will manifest. Energy goes where attention flows. We will open ourselves up now to any questions you might have about anything we talked about today or what is going on in your mind. And you can just speak whenever you want to.
you know, I agree with everything that you're saying. And I'm getting I get like the numbers. I get like I get 11:11 all the time,
Mhm.
every day, and 1:11 every day,
Mhm.
and sometimes like 4 times a day.
Mhm.
And I acknowledge it, you know, I notice it and I acknowledge it and I say thank you. But I don't know exactly what it means, because some interpretations are like, hey, you're on the right path, keep going, or whatever. And some other people say, well, you know, your guys are like, hey, change your focus, or like, you know, tap, 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 change your focus. So I'm not sure how I interpret
Sure.
the signs, the 1:11 and 11:11.
Humans get awfully stuck on the right meaning.
Right.
Nothing wrong with that.
Right.
We're going to say to you that when you see it and you acknowledge it,
Mhm.
what is happening in your world at the moment,
Right.
and how are you feeling? Because the signs that you choose, and that is a choice of yours, and many others,
Mhm.
are there to simply acknowledge that more is going on than you know. It would be a call to pay attention
Mhm.
versus change or don't change, because again, source energy, spirit, angels, guides, ancestors, all the same thing,
Mhm.
will not tell you what to do with your life.
Right.
Will not tell you how to leave it. So if it were a sign that says, hey, change your direction,
Mhm.
that's telling you how to live your life.
Right.
But if it's simply a sign acknowledging, pay attention,
Mhm.
that is what signs are truly for.
Mhm.
Anyone can read anything into anything,
Mhm.
and most everyone in this, actually everyone in this incarnation is making it all up, right? So give yourself some grace. Acknowledge the fact the signs are there for you. And first of all,
Yeah.
we'd say if you're catching 1:11 4 times a day, go get some sleep. But be aware that it's a sign to simply say, we're watching, we're here.
Mhm.
Pay attention to what's transpiring around this time,
Right.
so you are awake to make a choice.
Mhm.
And that's true of all signs. Signs aren't there to tell you which way to go. They are simply there to say, hey, wake up. Something is happening you should pay attention to,
Mhm.
so you can make a conscious choice versus a subconscious choice. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Helpful?
Yes. And I do, when I acknowledge it, I think, I do pull back and I say, hey, what's going on right now? And sometimes it's just like, there's nothing, you know what I mean? Like, I'm getting out of my car to go to work, or, you know, like, there's nothing really, I mean,
See, and that's where you're not quite correct.
I know.
What it did was pulled you into the eternal now, into awareness.
Yeah,
And sometimes that's enough,
yeah.
right? Taking you out of that, well, especially driving to work, that autopilot of,
Mhm, mhm.
you know, how did I get here? I thought I was 20 blocks back.
Yeah.
The sign is to pull you into awareness, into the now, so you can be present for your incarnation. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Something is always happening. It just,
Right.
there's a song that Paul David likes called There Won't Be Trumpets, Barbra Streisand. And it talks about how when the moments happen, there aren't parades and trumpets and angels and loud choirs
Mhm.
going, but it just happens. And
Mhm.
that's more of what life is. It's
Yeah.
the signs are there to wake you up to say, hey, pay attention, be in the now, because this is where everything is transpiring, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
What is the 31 comment here for us?
So 3i Atlas is here as a sign to wake you up to the fact that there's something more. Within the next couple of years, there will be, well, let's back up a step. You're not alone. To think you're alone in this universe is foolish. Source energy has multiple incarnations on multiple planets, in multiple dimensions, in multiple vibrations. 3i Atlas is here to say something is coming and there's more going on in your world then you know. We would encourage you to look around this planet first and acknowledge all beings as part of source energy, for everything is. From the crystal in Paul David's hand, to the dog running down the street, to the mice in the walls, all is a piece of source energy. 3i Atlas is here to say, there's something else coming, and you should be prepared for it, for it is also of source energy. We did speak about this in the channeling that Paul David gave you, the 80 days of channeling. We unpacked that a little bit more. But really, the call is simply the trumpet, if you will, before the big event. The big event will not have trumpets, it will not have fanfares, it will just simply be. This is the call to, again, like the 111 or 1111 signs, it's a call to wake up. There's something more going on. It's to get you to wonder. And wonder is a wonderful place to be, for as a conscious creator, you are always to take thought and experience where it has never been before. What if, what if, what if? If you can stay in that place of what might that be, that's what Third Eye Atlas is to do, is to stir within the human race. What if? Because what if is coming. And a benevolent way, not like your movies. Unless you focus on it, by the way, because there are beings in the galaxy that are malevolent as well. So again, energy goes where attention flows. If you focus on the negative, you most certainly will bring that to you. If you focus on love and joy, you will most certainly bring that to you. And so 3i Atlas is here simply to awaken you to those possibilities. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
This is a great day. This is a great place to be, if you choose to see it that way. Embrace love, embrace joy, understand that everything in your world is source energy. Everything in your universe is source energy. The phrase namaste, the God in me recognizes the God in you, is something we would love for you to contemplate this season. For in some traditions, they talk about God with us as a name for one particular incarnation. And we would say to you that that incarnation's words were to remind everyone that they are all, that you are all part of source energy, that God with us is God in us as source energy in us, as we are all part of all that is. When you start to see everyone, even those that piss you off, as source energy, as a piece of you, it changes how you interact with them. The call for this time in the human race is one of unity, which is why the divisions are so strong. People are afraid of things that are not the same as themselves because they feel then they are wrong. That is not the case at all. If you look at a woven tapestry, all made of one color, it's lovely, but there isn't any depth to it. Now that same tapestry, woven with golds and browns and blacks and silvers and whites and blues and reds, suddenly has depth, has perspective, has color, has vibrancy. That's humanity. But it requires the different colored threads to provide that vibrancy. Just as life requires the different perspectives to create the diversity, to create the depth. None of those perspectives are wrong. They're just different. When everyone starts to understand that and stop being threatened by things that are not the same as them, and allow them to live in love and light, for the universe is taking care of everyone the same way, then things can begin to change. And the time is now. There is definitely groups of people squashing down that diversity, attempting to squash down that diversity. We would tell you the more they tighten their grip, the more diversity leaks through their fingers and spreads. You can be part of that change by being love and light, by standing in your truth, by consciously focusing your energy on things you prefer. Will not preferred experiences still happen to you? Yes. That's part of the design. But think of it like the gym. Those are your opportunities when those not preferred experiences come for you to change your energy, to consciously move in a different direction, to gain strength in your spiritual path. When you do that with consistency, your world will change. We are here for you. We're here for each one of you. We are always listening, and we're always speaking. The quickest way to hear us is how we began today. Breathe. Just breathe and listen. We are not going to shout, for that is not our way. That's the way of the world. But we are always there with that little tug, that little pull, that still small voice. Go into this season with joy and love. Be conscious of where you put your energy, and help change and heal your world. We are complete. Okay. So that's channeling. All right.
Thank you.
Questions, especially if you've never seen one before. Not to put you on the spot, but I mean, what do you think? So again, this is my second time doing this. That flowed way better than it does when I'm sitting in front of my computer home alone. That was interesting. So I know we talked Third Eye Atlas. I think that was what you were talking about. You know, we're here 31, 3 Atlas. It is in the challenge, so that if I didn't tell you, this right here, did I already talk about this? Okay, so anyway, there is a talk about it, and what they were really talking about is the idea that and is everyone familiar with what 3 Eye Atlas is? So there's a comet, or what was supposed to be a comet, that was circling the sun, but it wasn't behaving like a comet. In fact, the COM-trail was going in front of it. And so there's a ton of crap on the internet about what it is, and that's all BS. But it's they're not sure. Is it a comet? Is it a spaceship? Is it a probe? Is it a what? It just is there to inspire wonder. If you follow the channel Bashar, anyone heard of Bashar?
Mm-hmm.
So he's talking a lot about, I think he's got a new shirt that says 2027 is the day of contact, which is, first of all, we're not alone. Okay, aliens exist. You'd be stupid to think they don't exist, just like angels exist, just like mice exist. I mean, it's just a different aspect of source energy. But this comet-ish thing is behind the sun. It will come back around us around December 19th-ish. We'll be back the closest proximity to the Earth, and you should see some news about it. They're trying to get good pictures of it because no one knows what it is. And so the question is, well, what is it? It's there really what, at least the guides in multiple channels, not just myself, have said it's there to inspire this what if, but it's not contact. That's coming later, which is pretty cool. I mean, there's the whole, if you want to go down rabbit holes, there's whole theories that humans are engineered from the Anunnaki. It's a wonderful rabbit hole I'm not going to get into today, but that's pretty cool. So that's a pretty cool thing. What came through in the channeling for me before was that this is really important that we first of all recognize that everything on our planet is part of source energy, because how in all the name of holy are we going to treat something from outside this planet as a part of God if we can't see each other as a piece of God? And so, I mean, that's just, we're kind of a violent species, so it doesn't really bode well for anyone coming in, and I think that's probably why it's taking some time. I know we talked a lot about, or a little bit at least, about the energy. They're always going to say attention goes where energy flows. So really be aware that being a conscious creator is an important part of almost all the channeling. I did ask them like a couple weeks ago, it's like, this feels like the same messages over and over. This was different than the last one for sure, and there was some new information in here. But the comment that they were giving me is like, you guys don't have it together yet. Why would we change our story? We can't go to chapter 2 until you finish chapter 1, right? Algebra 2, you have to take algebra 1. Right, so you got to get this piece of it together, and so just that's part of, from my impatience of 80 days, they are different messages, but that's just really, it's like they want to keep hammering that one home. Has anyone ever heard the idea of your personality as a piece of clothing before, or as an aspect of you but not you? That took a while to get my head around. There's some cool channeling about that goes in the writing a little bit more in depth about seeing it as a suit or a coat, and remembering that, you know, when you are eternal, you're gonna put your coat, like when you take your, like I'm gonna go home and put this in the laundry hamper. That's kind of like our souls, because we're eternal. We've lived multiple lifetimes. If you haven't studied or looked at the idea of near-death experiences or multiple lives, the fact that you're eternal and you live life after life, and I know there's some people like, oh my God, I've never come back into this again. Except that if you think about it, you know, we come from perfect love. Source energy is the vibration of love where everything's perfect. If you had your favorite food every day, every single day, every single day, how long do you think it'd be your favorite food, right? You gotta have that variety. And so part of this incarnation, the ups and downs, realizing we're eternal, is like that roller coaster. I think they mentioned the roller coaster analogy, coming in, and it's that thrill of that, oh my God, I could die, except you're not really gonna die. Right? You're gonna just change vibrations. And think of if you've never thought about that, think of it like a television station. All shows are broadcasting all the time, but you have to tune into the right station to get the broadcasts. So that's kind of cool. Other thoughts or questions?
So I have a thought turning into a question. So
Sure.
We seem to be in an era where a lot of this is coming together, whether it be UAP disclosure, aliens, or a higher vibration of humanity, and more people kind of moving that direction. So how would this period of time be different than periods of time in the past where we thought this is where we were all going?
So are you thinking more of the 60s when you're, is that your?
It could be decades, it could be centuries.
Sure, so time isn't, first of all, time isn't linear. This is I'll try to simplify it to my understanding, and I'm not an expert at this by any stretch. But what I'm understanding through a bunch of things I've read is time loops are cyclical. It's like this, it's going up. So things, like, there's things that are transpiring now that harken back to the 60s, we would say, as far as protests and the way people are feeling, but it's at a different vibration, and everything is rising, even though it's continuing to cycle. So will this be the time that we break through as humanity and finally see each other as one? Unclear, because here's the part that we didn't get into today in the channeling is we are all co-creating. Well, we're all conscious creators. If you want this room to be green, you want it to be yellow, you want it to be red, we're gonna get a brown, because each of you are adding your energy to it, right? And so as we're going through this life, as long as we begin to inspire each other, we can begin to change that vibration. Now, here's the other thing that didn't come through today, but is in the writing. It isn't something that can be said from a pulpit, from a large thing where people's lives are changed. It only happens heart to heart, soul to soul. So when their message today was about be love, be light, share the joy of the season, what they're targeting back to, my belief is, you can only change a person's life one life at a time.
And so connecting with each person and you know, us having a relationship and us having a relationship and you having a relationship, and then that's spreading like a spider web, right? Like a ripple in the pond. You throw a pebble in the pond, it ripples out. So the encouragement and what might make now the time that this is maybe gonna happen, there's no guarantees because we are the conscious creators. If we choose to change lives heart to heart, if we can look at that person that pisses us off, and they know that one come through, that was probably more me than them. That pisses us off, and we can see them as part of source energy and understand that it's not, their action is maybe something that they're not working on, and we can have compassion for them not doing their work because it's tough. Maybe that changes our vibration towards them, and then that maybe changes our relationship. Does that make sense? So the idea, nothing is set in stone. We don't know that this is gonna be where all these things happen, that we suddenly are becoming kumbaya, right? But the chance is there for us to do that if we change our vibration only heart to heart, soul to soul, person by person by person. It's like the ripples in the pebble. And the ripples go out beyond what you can ever possibly dream, right? And that's what I think is happening now is more pebbles, by people waking up or souls or that are being dropped in the pond, the proverbial pond, and that's radiating out, if that makes sense. But no guarantee.
Right. So some say that they reach a critical mass of
Yeah,
people.
100th monkey.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Everyone familiar with 100th monkey? So 100th monkey is or Horton Hears a Who, same idea. 100th monkey is, and I'm gonna screw up the details so you can Google it for the actual facts, but here's the gist of it. Monkeys in South America were washing their clams, crabs, coconuts, I forget what, in the water to get the dirt off. That was not happening in Africa. At some juncture, the behavior jumped the pond, and suddenly the monkeys in Africa were washing their clams, coconuts, whatever the hell it was. They call it the 100th monkey because it reaches critical mass, to your point. And so the idea of more people waking up, of more people reacting with love and light, is the idea that this is a growing energy, and pretty soon it'll reach critical mass, and then it goes into what is, I think they call it in the channeling, the super consciousness will take over and it'll expand the globe, and things will suddenly change. That will be more like this, but we're still trying to get to that 100th monkey. And again, going back to the other analogy, there wasn't 100 monkeys before, and there isn't 100 monkeys now. I don't know if we're at 50 monkeys or if we're at 98 monkeys, I'm unclear. But it feels like there's more monkeys. There's more monkeys. I'm just gonna go with that. Bunch of fucking monkeys. Just gonna say that. Other thoughts, questions? Did you enjoy it? Was it
Yeah.
was it something that I'll have to listen to it because so to what it's like on my side is I'm listening to words come out of my face that I have no idea where they're going, which by the way is completely terrifying. You're like, holy shit, where is this going? I have no idea where. But I'm listening, like those whispers of a song. I'm listening to what's coming through, and you'll see a couple times I caught up on it. It's like, nope, not quite the word, not quite the right word, or my lips didn't form the right word. But that was, I think, it was a little bit smoother than last time. Would you concur? Jennifer was your last time for sure. You were here last time too.
No, I watched not.
Oh, watch it.
On YouTube.
Yeah, I wasn't
No, I thought it was. I thought you were smooth. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I didn't notice like there was like a lot of gaps or anything like that. You know, and I mean, and I follow Lee Harris and I follow Bashar and stuff like that. And no, I don't think. I think it was really. It flowed and it was
smooth.
very coherent, and it wasn't disjointed at all.
So it's not the way. So I've recorded all of mine on my phone, and it is not the way it works at home. Sometimes it's like I have to put silences.
I felt like you went deeper, you heard more.
It was
The last time you were maybe here,
Yeah,
we
it
were down
was.
here.
It was like there were places I wasn't sure where we were going or how any of it was going to tie together. So I'll be interested to reread the transcript because I don't know. You had a question?
I did have a question.
Yeah.
Is Echo mentoring you?
So Echo's a friend of mine. So she was my first mentor in my psychic development, and she's aware of what I'm doing. But my only mentor right now is Greg Friedman out of California. And again, Inner Journey with Greg Friedman. Discount on my next month's thing, Greg, because he'll watch this. Phenomenal. He's a shaman, for lack of a better word, which works heavily with Native American traditions, which is what I really resonated with. Echo and I talk about it, but not specifically. We just evolved to a different place in our relationship, but we're very close. So I gotta keep this up. That's how close we are. No, she's instrumental in my journey, but now is more of a colleague and friend. So,
Well, Bashar says he's channeling a specific person.
Correct.
I know some people are like, it was an Anunnaki spaceship.
yeah, over Arizona, Southern Arizona.
Do you know?
So great question. I love that
Yeah.
because they will tell me at some point, but right now their comment to me is humans are so stuck on labels that they're gonna get focused on the label, not the message. So they promised me that it will come. It's actually, I think it's in the writing even, but they will tell me at some point. I was like, is it gonna be today? And they're like, no, not gonna be today. Because it's more about the message than attaching, like Lee Harris does the Z's.
Yeah.
And the Z's, by the way, are like 3, like Z and so, I forget the names. Mine are just right now, it's part of my higher conscious. So, when we emerge, and this is a tougher human concept, we are all a drop of water, okay? Our souls are like a drop of water. God, source energy, is like the ocean, right? The ocean is made up of a bunch of drops of water. The beach is made up of a bunch of kernels of sand, right? They're just individual kernels, but you look at it and it's a beach, right? Drops of water, you look at it, it's an ocean. So what I'm channeling is an ocean. Who specifically is it? They will tell me a name because that's gonna be, it's like important. I mean, who are you talking to? I don't know. John, right? It's probably not gonna be John. They're gonna be like, oh yeah, it's totally gonna be John now. But it's about the idea that it's more than one personality joined together in consciousness. Again, like the super conscious, like the 100th monkey, it's something that our personality sphere is that we want to be individual. That's important to who we are here. But at our core, our source, that is still true. We are still a drop of water, but we're part of a bigger ocean, so they communicate as the ocean. Does that make sense? But they will tell me a name at some juncture. They just said right now the message is more important because people get too stuck in the name. That I did ask. The council, we'll call it. Let's call it the council for now.
I have another
Yeah.
question. Have you done other things before this, like mediumship or?
I love this question. So not yet. This actually, that was what I set out to do. Was when I had that reading with Thomas John. I'm like, I want to be a Jedi too. I set out to be a medium. We started with tarot, then came this, and this is the key to the mediumship. So I've studied, actually how I got to do this course is Lee Harris. He had a course online because my mentor about January is like, yeah, you're gonna do channeling this year. I'm like, oh, hell no, I'm not. I have no idea what to do. He's like, oh, you're gonna do channeling. Do an event, schedule it. I'm like, shit. And so this Lee Harris thing came across my page, and so I took that to be this.
Yeah.
And then after like about a month ago, he's like, oh, by the way, the channeling is the thing to get you to your mediumship. So that's coming next. The first thing was tarot. And what's interesting about this is I would say during my readings, if you've ever sat with me and had a reading, I know I've read a couple people in this room, you'll see me occasionally, I'll look off to your shoulder and I'll just be like talking. And that's literally channeling. And so I've been doing it for a while. It was just putting it into a context of, like the reason I had tarot is because I got a card, and this card means this thing, right? And it would give me a place to start. But pretty soon what I discovered was the card's like, it's not important. I would oftentimes do a reading, I'd pull the card and go, yeah, that's just what, we just talked about that. Because I would be talking about, yeah, we just talked about that too. So that's how I got into it. So it really began with tarot, then moved into this. Now, going back to my ex, who was a channel, he brought through some really powerful stuff back in the 90s. But like any gift, any spiritual gift, and you can tell this by clergy in any denomination, there's good channels, there's bad channels. There's good clergy, there's bad clergy. There's good used car salesmen, there's bad used car salesmen. There's good bankers, there's bad bankers, ... right? So it's very important to me though that I don't go down that path and keep it really pure. So that's part of what's slowed my jumping into this, or I would have been doing this 20 years ago. Okay, had I not had some spiritual trauma. But I did the work, and it sucked, but I did the work.
Do you think that people that are coming from the bad place, like, do you think that they understand that that's?
So no, I mean, great question, I love that. I think, so my ex died about 9 years ago, the one that had this, and he's come through in a couple readings and has apologized. You get tired of that, you're like, okay, got it, moving on. But what came through is he was such a narcissist and such a chronic liar that he didn't even know he was lying. There are people in our world today, possibly on public stages, that they're lying so much they don't even know they're lying. And that's what he was. And I think some of the people that are on the dark side get stuck in their ego, they get stuck in their personality, and their personality rules what comes through. And it's really easy to do. I mean, like I said, what came through, and I something about pisses you off, that had to be more me than Source Energy, because I swear like a sailor. And they're a lot purer than that as a general rule, but sometimes because everything rolls through the filter of the channel, of the medium, of the tarot card reader. We each have our own vocabulary, our own languages, and so what I'm doing is I'm getting this download is the word we use, and I can go with that, but it only can go through the words that I have in my head. So I am not a neurobiologist. So if a concept was something about something in neurobiology, I can only bring it through my language, which is like a petri dish. I can say petri dish, even though it's like it has nothing to do with the concept that they're trying to bring through. So it all is stuck in our filters, and I think sometimes the biggest thing is, are you afraid of being wrong? And this is a great lesson in life in general. I have to sit here, like today was better than last time. I was a lot more freaked out the first time, but I have to be okay that if nothing, what happens if nothing comes out of my face? What if you all sitting here and I'm like, so, how about the Hawkeyes, right? So you have to be able to be afraid. You have to be willing to be wrong. And that is where a lot of people get stuck, because you can't do this for the adulation. You have to do this for the message. What's important to me in my life is helping people. I wrote this like in a journal when I was in college, actually, I think. Let this be my goal. I'm gonna make this part of stuff, but let me move as many people through contact with me as I can in a positive way. Right? That was something that was core to me when I was like in my 20s. And that's core to me now. I want to, and do no harm. Don't do what happened to you. And I can go back now, and I thought about bringing the books, because he would write them, and some of it's profound. Some of it I've preached on as a minister. I mean, I think that some of the lessons are good, but then the ego got in there, and I could tell where it started to degrade. And then if you abuse a spiritual gift, the universe goes, nope. And so sometimes those people, I know like Sylvia Brown had a issue. She was great, and then she wasn't, because the ego got in the way, or she got scared. I'm not sure what her story was, but I've heard from other people that she got pulled. I know there's, what's her Tootsie, Angel Cards, Doreen Virtue, totally got scared, and something happened to her, and she's like gone way off the fundamentalist wagon, which is not the path, right? But it's a path, and maybe that's her path, and maybe that was her whole journey, is to walk down that path, be in this place, and suddenly scrap it all and find out, I mean, pardon my French, fuck around and find out. Maybe that's her journey, right? So everyone, we can't judge someone else's journey, but the people that are from the dark side, it's most likely fear, or they get used to the perks and the tricks, and then one day it just isn't the same, and they're not like, okay. They're like, and then they become in their ego, and so they've done it, it becomes rote. You know, the beauty of this is that this isn't necessarily rote. I mean, I'm aware the words are coming out are some of the same words that are in the writings, but to their point, we haven't got that part together yet, so we can't go to Algebra 2 until you get to Algebra 1. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question? Yeah.
So do you think that can you do this already, channel a dead person? You know?
So that would be mediumship, and that's where I'm going. I'm hoping to, and I tried today. I'm trying to get hold of David. I want, and his comment is, I'm already here. Yes, I know, but doing that with confidence, that's another leap of faith. So let's take one leap of faith a year.
Hurry up.
I'm working on it. Because that is my goal. I mean, I really, I love talking. I still get mediumship readings. I love talking to my dead people. It's really cool, and I love the cool insight that comes through. This is a different way. So in essence, are they part of this guild? Most likely. Are they standing around behind me? They are. I'm aware of that. But as far as them speaking to me and being able to communicate, or you sitting with me and me channeling your dead people, that's coming, just not today. But sooner than it was 6 months ago.
Right.
That much I know. Yes.
Well, I've been in mediumship and psychic development with 2 different people for the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
One is a person, her name is Suzanne Wilson. She calls herself the Carefree Medium.
Mhm.
She's out of Carefree, Arizona, and also Nicole Lynn, she's here
Mhm.
locally. And we do circles and we
Mhm.
practice. But I seem to have some kind of blockage, like,
You're singing my song. So, one of the things that came through, and I think it's in one of the first 60 days channeling. The trick is, and this is where I am at right now, is I have literally, so Suzanne Giesman, anyone familiar with Suzanne Giesman?
Yeah.
Check her out, Suzanne Giesman.
Yeah.
She's done some online courses that I've taken on mediumship. And one of the things is, actually use her technique to get into the zone for channeling. And
what is her last name?
Suzanne Giesman, Giesmann. Funny story. I heard her on a radio show out of the same station that my mentor is at years ago, 6 years ago, actually, I know for a fact. I got an email in January. Your reading for Suzanne Giesman is up finally on the calendar. I'm like, I don't remember signing up. So I'm like, okay, so I got into it. And then she's like, yeah, I'm finally getting through my list. You signed up 6 years ago. Like,
Oh,
holy
my
shit,
God.
right? But one of the things that I've been working on is I feel it, I'm right at the gate of the veil, and the trick is realizing there is no veil. So think of it like the Matrix. You ever seen the movie The Matrix? The spoon that bends is like the secret is there's no spoon. You're the one that's doing the bending. And so I just gotta get out of my own way. I know that's my block. And I venture to guess that ours are probably similar. That you already have the gift, you just aren't realizing you got it. That's what I'm told.
well, for me, the reason I have pursued this is because I did have a significant other that passed
Mhm.
away, and I started hearing from him.
That's awesome. So you're already doing it.
But,
That's awesome.
and I heard from people that I know, but as far as opening up and being able to hear from somebody I don't know, I can't seem, that's where the blockage is.
So do you know what the guys would say? This is great. Did you watch the last channeling by any chance?
No.
Oh shit, didn't capture. So I ran it, I'm hoping that this one captures all the questions, because last time I ran a tape, because I had it on like super high def, I'm like, you don't need to see my pores. But, so I changed the settings on it. But Logan, who was sitting here, who's a reader here, he's challenged to become a medium as well. And he and I have talked about this, in fact. And the answer to the advice to them was just do it. Just do it. So what you do, so here's what I did. So the very first time, my mentor said, okay, you're gonna do tarot readings. Okay. I'm like, okay. So what I did was I put it out on Facebook and said, hey, I'm practicing this. Just bring me like a tray of brownies, your favorite poem, I don't care what. Just something, but you're gonna help me learn. And so someone did. In fact, a plant was the very first thing I got. Still, I haven't killed it yet, so it's a good sign. And then that very first moment, you flip the card over, you're going, what if nothing comes? And it'll come. But you just gotta do it. The answer for the guys are just do it. Run to it. Set up the time. Do it if you're not comfortable. Just do it with friends, right? People that you don't know, and then just try it. Because like Reiki or any energy healing, the only way, okay, there's a meme that I share if we're doing readings, and I saved it on my phone, and I'm gonna read it, because I do this, it's the same thing. It's called, fuck it, bro, okay? It's, your first podcast will be awful, your first video will be awful, your first acting will be awful, your first song will be awful, ... But you can't make your 50th without making your first, so get over with it and fucking make it. So the answer is just fucking do it. That's my words, not theirs, but the idea is there. Just do it. The only way you're gonna be able to do it, because there's a fear element to that. I'm not getting it, well, you are. If you're getting your spouse and people you know, you're getting it. Now, get out of the way and do it, would be what they would say. And that it is, yes, it's terrifying. Holy shit. The very first time I did this, terrified, just in the back crap of my pants. This time I'm like greeting people, right? Because it changes, right? But you just gotta simply do it. And that's true of anything in your life. Run to your fears. If it scares you, good, do it. If it's something worthwhile, right? I'm not talking about like, jumping off a building without a parachute. That's just dumb. I mean, you do you, boo, right? But the things that are there in your life, the challenges, the obstacles, the things that will make you better, yes, they're terrifying. They're terrifying for everyone. Just do it. Because what do you get to lose, right? What if? Right? There's always what if, but what if, right? What if? That's cool. It's a cool place to be. I look forward to that. and I'd be happy to sit for you anytime.
I have a question.
Yes.
So our personalities are on this world, and
Yes.
so when we leave, it's our soul.
So, yes.
So my question is, when we have a reading and people come through and it's, to us, it's like their personality, is that just
Sure.
so we can recognize them?
So, yes, your personality is chosen by you in this incarnation. So you walking into this, it's like, okay, buying a new car. Do you want the Ford? Do you want the Datsun? Do you want the Grand Prix? Do you want the Mach-E? Do you want the whatever? You get to choose the car, right? And then you drive the car around, right? So if someone was going to come back and say, well, you know, I remember her, well, she drove the Mach-E. Yes, you drove that. So it's a way to draw that connection to it. And we're in this, where eternally it's that long, less than that long. But for our lifetime, it's a while, it takes us a while to shed that personality. So the chances that, so like for example, if your great-great-great-great-great-great-grandmother came through, she would come through saying as your great-great-great-grandma, you would have any way of knowing if that was her personality because time has passed. Does that make sense? So the aspects are there for us to identify with because we still remember our lives. So like, have you done a past life regression?
Mhm.
Yeah, so you remembered your life, but that's just, you remembered that shirt. Oh, that blouse from the 80s, that one with the cool pattern? That's more what it's like. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
But yeah, it's an aspect of us, but only in this incarnation. Once we go back to physical, it's a part of us because it's, there aren't human words to put it. If I wish I could, this is the time I wish I could like just show you my head because it makes more sense there than what's coming out of my face. But it's an aspect of us, but not who we truly are, if that makes sense. So next life, if you come back, like I've been a girl, I've been a boy, I've been a lot of things. I remember one life I was a girl in a white or blue dress with blue shoes on picking herbs. I remember that. I was also an Indian in one other life, not like which planet. I was a monk in one life. I don't know again which planet. Didn't feel like Earth, but it looked like Germany, like around the 1200s, but I don't think it was. So we change aspects depending on who we are, but who we are at our core is always who we are.
Yeah, or where they show us when they connect with us.
Yes, correct.
So do you know Casey Constant?
I do.
Yeah.
Because she's done past life.
Yeah, QQHT, the Dolores Cannon version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did it not with her, but with someone with the same methodology in like 2015 or something. But Casey's a good friend, yeah. Casey.
Yeah, I've done several sessions with her.
It's a cool thing. It's wild. If you have never done it, I highly encourage you to add that to your bucket list, just simply for a what if, right? It's cool. Speaking of Dolores Cannon, there's a really, you want to talk about things that, like we talked about, everything is part of source energy. She has a book called The Convoluted Universe. It's a series. There's like 9 of them. I've probably read 5. That talks about weird, like, it's like what she calls mind candy. So there's all from people she's regressed, but it's the weirder stuff, like I was a doorknob kind of things. That may not have been one, but it's weird stuff like that. Because every single thing is a piece of source energy. The chair you're sitting on, this crystal, this bottle of water, right? It's all source energy because everything came from literally the name source. It's the source of all. So the wall, the fish, the mouse, the carpet, it's all just an aspect of all that is. And so that's a pretty cool way mind candy is the word, if you like mind candy.
Well, what Casey explained to me during my sessions were that you will feel like you're making it up. And you have to just go with it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because you can't let that stop you, that you just feel like you're just making this up. You're under hypnosis.
Yeah, I love that point, and that's so important with all of this. It goes back to, I don't know if they said it or if I said it, everyone is making this up anyway. So run with it, because what comes out is amazing. Because trust me, I don't think I'm like, am I totally full of shit? What the hell's coming out of my face? But when you do that, when you're in that flow and you realize, take that pressure off, it's amazing what can transpire. I love that, exactly. You just let it go and what if, right? And so what if you are making it up? You're a conscious creator, so you just created a new reality. Then it's real, right? Think of Star Wars or Wizard of Oz, right? Before they were created, they were not existent, but someone made it up, and now it's as real as, part of our childhoods, our lives, right? Doesn't make it any less real. There's scientific studies that, the whole idea of visualization, that if you believe it, you manifest it. The idea is that if you're in that vibration of it already being true, there's no difference from it not being true or really being true. I'm not a scientist, so those are my words for a concept much more complex than I can possibly think of. So. Any other questions? Thank you all so much for being here. I'll be doing another one of these in January. My goal in 2026 is probably to do one a month, unless I'm touring as a rock star. But thank you so much for being here. I will put this on YouTube once I get it edited. It will be sometime this week because it's also my week to do my newsletter. If you are not receiving my newsletter but would like to be, which is basically a little bit of tarot teaching, some funny jokes, at least I think they're funny, and then a schedule, please sign up on the pad out there. Just check off that you're here and I'll add you to that. I did not automatically add anyone to that.
Are you here each of the
Aurapaloozas? Yeah, normally the answer is yes, but next weekend, Maria Shaw is another reader. She's having an event in Bloomington, both Saturday and Sunday, and I know Terry and I will both be there. And that's at the Doubletree right across from IKEA. But normally I'm here the first and the third Aurapalooza, and I will be here the third week in the month, back over in that corner, doing my little holding down the fort by the bathrooms. So I'm always here for that. I do read, if you're interested in actually my tarot services or intuitive readings, I do read out of here at these events, but also out of my home in Plymouth or via Zoom. So if you're looking for something, and I do have gift cards if you have loved ones that would be like blown away by cool stuff. The channeling is free for you. It is available for sale on my website. So if you know someone who would really trip on this, feel free to send them there. I also have a lovely shielding meditation. So if you've got some challenges with keeping other people's energy out of your zones, that is also available on my website. And I do teach tarot as well. So,
You teach tarot?
I do.
That's very interesting.
I'm hoping to get the classes started in 2026. I just get sidetracked because I also have a day job. I'm a musician, and so I'm trying to squeeze it in the cracks. But yeah, I want to do a class here because I think it's a great way. It's a great divination tool to help you navigate the path. Jennifer, am I a good tarot teacher?
Yep.
Okay.
Do I get my own way? Yep.
Thank you.
So, thank you so much. Appreciate you all. Have a happy holidays. Drive safely. And again, I will send an email out to make sure I got your email that is posted. It'll be on my YouTube channel. So be aware of that. Thank you all so very much. Have an amazing day.